and here we go. All right, welcome everybody. Seated comfortably on your mat, and that can mean different things for different people. So I know that y'all may or may not have bricks or pillows. And we'll talk about those more coming up. But if you find it uncomfortable to sit in what they call the easy pose, which is not always easy, and you have yoga bricks, you can put two of them together and sit on yoga bricks or a folded up towel or a meditation pillow if that's what works for you. I'm gonna not talk too much about bricks today. Next week I will definitely talk about how to use bricks. So if you guys wanna use bricks next week, we'll do a deep dive on how to use them. If you have them now and you like to use any prop in your yoga practice, please feel free to use what you normally enjoy. All right, we're gonna start in the easy pose. So my legs are open, they're not crossed, and I'm just sitting wherever I'm comfortable. I'm gonna rest my palm facing up, and I'm gonna close my eyes and just try to drop my shoulders, slow down my breath. And let the rest of the world go. As you inhale, allow your spine to get a little longer. Maybe imagining your head is like a balloon floating upwards. And as you exhale, see if you can let gravity take your shoulders down and back, or your knees drop a little bit further down towards the earth. And come back to that breath, lengthening each inhale and slowing down the exhale. If you'd like, I invite you to breathe in through your nose, letting the cool air come into your skull and down through your throat and broadening your chest. And as you exhale, allow that breath to leave your belly. Your rib cage drops downward and the air floats out through your mouth. Let your breath and the act of slowing it down consciously begin to soothe your body. And when you're ready, let your eyes open. And on your next inhale, we're going to take our arms up and really feel length happening as you reach up through those fingertips. Let your hands touch at your center line and exhale completely all the way down. And I like to always start class with this simple pattern because your body gets to know a certain series of actions that it experiences and responds to those actions. So if we build our yoga practice with this habit, this practice of doing the same thing each time, then your body will, as the semester goes on, start to respond more quickly. It'll drift into calmness more quickly and also start to oxygenate your blood a little more quickly, knowing that the workout is coming. One more time, just really practicing the art of inhaling on the way up and exhaling on the way down. Let your head drop, chin to chest, spine curves, hands slide out in front of you. Let your back and armpits and thighs and hips soften as you take 3 full breath cycles here. Lifting up inside yourself, bringing your belly to your spine. Start to bring that torso back to upright. Stacking your vertebrae one on top of the other until you're sitting up nice and tall again. And we'll reach our arms up. And this time we're going to take our right hand down, straight out to the side from your right hip, neither to the front nor the back. And we're going to reach up and across, trying to keep your shoulders in line with your hips and really just reach those fingertips. And that act of reaching long through the body we call radiating, right? Like a sun ray, stretching up and over. Notice I have both hips rooted to the ground. I'm going to inhale up, take my left hand down straight to the side from my left hip, and actively reach, really trying to lengthen. So I'm dipping this hip down into the ground, and I'm also radiating away from that through those fingertips up into the air. And I could let this shoulder come all the way up to my ear, but instead I'm keeping a nice, healthy, long shoulder girdle. Yeah, so my shoulder is still attached even though I'm lengthening through the side body. Inhale up again, passing through center, and this time my hand is still going straight to the side, but I'm going to bend the spine here in the middle and feel more of a stretch along the lower waist. From this position, I'm going to take a breath and reach my open palm up and let my arm go slightly behind my shoulder. Finding your breath here. And letting my arm come around to the front as I exhale, swinging my head slowly through the center and coming up to the opposite side. Finding that squared position so my shoulders are on line with my hips and my left hand is out to the side of my left hip. I'm going to take that right palm and move it slightly behind my body as I bend. Letting my breath allow me to release within that space. Big breath in. Exhale, come down at the center. Really just drop your head into the mat for a moment. Long, deep breaths. And roll on up when you're ready. Hug a giant, fluffy something. I like to say hug a waff. If you've ever seen the Hilda cartoon, they're these big, fluffy, flying fox-like things. They look very huggable. So here, I've got my shoulders anchored down in a nice high V, and I'm taking my whole straight spine and trying to tip the whole spine forward. So I'm not bending at the head or shoulders. I'm going to take my whole torso forward here. Big breath in. Exhale, anchor the shoulders down and tip forward from your hip sockets. And just stay here and find your breath. It should feel a little effortful. I'm going to move to the side so you can see what I mean by the whole torso moves forward. Yeah. So rather than bending my arm and chest, I'm inviting you to shift forward from this hip socket here. So the whole hip socket goes forward. Armpits are still anchored. And we're finding our breath, leaning forward. Big breath in. Exhale, let it melt all the way down to the floor. Take a breath there. And if your neck is still feeling tense in any way, you can give yourself permission to sort of snake it around and find softness. And we're going to roll up again. And I'm going to come on over to the left side this time. Open up that arm to the back of the room and let my armpit really open here, yeah? So it's like I have, maybe you're catching a ball and the ball takes your whole arm back. The arm goes behind you and down to the floor. And now we're making a great big circle. So as we're circling, you can now take that palm. My palm is here to the front. I'm going to rotate it to the back now as though I'm trying to put my hand on that back wall. Slide it down the back wall. Exhale, exhale, exhale to the end of that motion and inhale up. And let yourself flow through that big circle now. So circling your arm with your breath. And let this inhale take you up and over to the other side. Exhale grounds you down through your body. Inhale, reach, radiate. Open that palm back. Find your circle. Reaching as far as you can through that body, but keeping your hip rooted down. Good. All right, coming back up center. We're gonna take our knees together for Navasana, which is the boat pose. And I'm going to say you can totally hold on to your legs here, but I'm going to take my feet off the ground and just feel for a moment, what does your butt feel like on the ground, yeah? If I roll forward, I can feel my sits bones, my butt bones into the mat. If I tip back a little bit, then I'm on like the meat of your butt behind the sits bones. That's where I want to be for this. Big breath in. As you exhale, pull those shoulders down your back so you're radiating your heart forward and up. And we're going to extend those legs. And you can hold on to the back of the thighs. Finding your breath. This is an ab exercise, so if you want to increase the ab exercise, you're going to tip the pelvis under a little bit more, pulling your abs in more, and then you can think about releasing the legs. So we're going to go for it for 5 breath cycles. Here we go. Stay present and find your bus stop. If you really need to hold on, I'd rather that you find your bus stop and stay where you need to be than that you try to go with whatever looks coolest or what you used to be able to do on a different day. Let's find your bus stop rather than passing your bus stop with ego and then having to walk back home afterwards. Exhale down and forward over bent parallel legs. I like to put a little arm or fist underneath the knees to keep those knees bent. Gives us a deeper stretch in the hamstring. And if you want to join me in brushing your legs off, just increasing the circulation, warming things up, please do. Now, legs do not have to be straight in any forward fold for me. Yeah, legs never need to be straight. Soft knees are a great way to make sure you're stretching the middle of the hamstring rather than getting into your tendons or ligaments. And what about those thighs? Maybe a little lower back rub. All right, sitting up nice and tall here, and take a moment for anatomy. Right here is your kneecap. Yes, so please grab your kneecap. Through your pants is fine as long as you're feeling that round bone at the tip of your knee. And if you draw your fingers around to the bottom of that bone, you'll feel a meaty, ropey section right underneath, right? So if this circle was the kneecap, then right underneath it is a meaty section. And I'd like you to please gently pinch that, just grab it a little bit and trace it down to your second toe, right? Big toe and then the next toe, the second toe is sort of like your pointer finger on your hand. If your big toe is your thumb, next one. These two places we want to always have in a line, yeah? So if I were parallel, my second toe and my knee would be both pointing up. And if I'm turning out the leg, both things go at the same time. Try to face front and do that. Yes, parallel legs, knees and toes straight up. If I'm turning a leg out, I'm gonna do it from the hip socket, so both the knee and the toe go at the same time. But when we start doing lunges and other things, that becomes challenging. So we're gonna come back to that alignment rule a few times today. Toe and center of your knee. All right, friends, let's go ahead and stand up. With that in mind. Traditionally in yoga, most of the poses where you're standing with your legs together are legs all the way together. Yeah, and that can be a really nice way to remind yourself to use that centering power by pulling your thighs back to each other. But if that's uncomfortable, it's okay to make a little bit of space here for those poses, but they should really be underneath your hips. So we just talked about your pointer finger toe and your knee being in alignment. The next thing up the stack is your hip sockets. And your hip sockets are not, I think we sometimes think about the outside of our hips being our hips, especially if you're a woman and this is a more curvy part of your body. But your hip sockets are actually taking place underneath your hip bones. So everybody please palpate your hip bones. Yes, it's that arc of bone that goes across here. There may be flesh in front of it, that's all right. See if you can find those hip bones. And then there's a little divot here where your hip flexors live. And behind there is your hip socket, and that's where we want to line up the knees and toes with, yes? All right, that said, let's come to our mountain pose, which is standing with your feet together. Maybe a little gap, if that's all right. If that were a gap for me, it would probably be no wider than my foot or my fist in this position. Yeah. And then we're gonna soften those knees and rock forward and back a little bit, just to feel the lower back soften. Finding your breath. All right, we're gonna go through our first sun salutation. For this whole first week, I'm not gonna do any warrior ones. So if you have experience doing warrior ones in yoga, we're not doing them, we're doing high lunges. That means we're gonna keep our legs parallel as we do the first sun salutation. Next week, we'll do warrior ones, okay? Just as a reminder also, when I teach as your mirror image. So that means I'll say, put your right hand up, ta-da! And this is actually my left hand, but I will swap my words for you when I'm facing forward. When I turn to the side, I figure it makes more sense for me to be as though I'm in the same room as you. So then I might have my right leg forward, turn to the side and switch. You do not need to do a switch or a turn to the side if I'm moving just to demonstrate for you. If that were the case that I wanted you to turn to the side, I would verbally remind you, okay? So for example, I might say, put your right hand up and your right foot forward, and then I'm gonna turn to the side and be like this. Yeah, but you don't have to turn. Okay, here we go, friends. We're standing in mountain. We're gonna start a flow, breathing in. As I soften my knees here, I'm keeping my legs together. I'm keeping my belly softly engaged, and I'm gonna stand all the way back up straight and lift my hands up, dropping my shoulders down. I'm gonna open my chest and lean my long back of the neck to the upper back of the room. Breathing back in to come back to upright. I'm going to soften my knees before I come forward through flat back to a forward fold. In a forward fold, as I said before, for me, knees can always be bent. We never need to straighten the legs here because I'd rather you stretch the center of the back of the thigh and not feel it behind the knee joint or behind the hip socket joint. Yeah. Inhaling halfway up, and your knees can still be soft here. We're going to come to a true flat back, which can be hard to find. Let's go ahead and touch it today. Many of us tuck our butt automatically, especially if you have tight hamstrings. So learning to soften your knees and find a true flat back. Most of us slouch a lot. So learning to pull your shoulder blades back and lift through your bellies. And then pulling your chin slightly in are all ways that we can get to that flat back. On your next exhale, we're going to soften down to the floor. If you would like to use bricks can go under your hands here. If not, bend your knee as much as you need to bring the floor close to your body and stepping back with your left leg. And we're just going to take some time here in this high lunge. Yeah, so high lunge for me, the back leg is parallel. It's not turned out in any way. So when you look underneath yourself, you should see all 5 of your toes on the floor. Your front knee in any lunge that we do is going to be knee above your ankle. Yeah, we never want the knee to be past the toe while there's a lot of weight on it because it just is wearing on the knee. So I'm going to remind you all the time, knee over ankle. Yeah. All right, so you're in high lunge with the left leg back, and let yourself sway a little bit to settle into that. We'll talk all about refining that lunge as we move forward through the class. Here we go. We're going to take that right foot back to a plank. Every time you come to a plank in my class, please feel free to shift to a modified plank. If plank is leaving you with your butt in the air, then you're missing the point, which is actually about the abs, yeah? So I'd much rather you come to a modified plank and really think about lifting up that abdomen. If you're not feeling your abs engaged, please drop your butt and lift those abs. We're gonna take a breath in, and we're gonna settle down to the nice, sweet, friendly floor. And then we're gonna inhale up by pulling our shoulders back and our abdomens in for a baby cobra. My gaze here is really not far at all. Exhaling down and inhaling back up to your modified plank. Elbows stay back, shoulders stay back. Tuck your toes. For me, that means putting your toes and the balls of the feet onto the ground. We're going to press back, making sure that your hands are only as wide as your shoulders. And we're going to lift our knees to come up to downward dog. Big breath here. We're going to break down the intricacies of downward dog shortly, but for now, take your feet back together if they strayed, and gently lift your left foot off the ground and step back as many steps as you need to begin with to get your hands between your feet. Now you're in your left leg forward high lunge. Gently move it around. So I was mentioning earlier the idea of bus stops, and hopefully you're staying in your pose while I give it these little breakdowns, yeah? Finding what works for you. So for a bus stop in a high lunge, that's bus stop A, you might have bricks to help you hold your body up. And if you don't have bricks, but you want to try bricks, you can kind of use, during the pandemic, we used containers of toilet paper, like 4 things of toilet paper is kind of brick size, or maybe a case of soda, but that's really quite heavy and hard to move, or a stack of books, but then you can't adjust them. But you can see how a brick brings the floor up to the rest of my body and allows my expression of the rest of the pose to be a little bit more close to the original pose. Most beginners start with their legs really quite close together and lean this knee past the ankle, but remember we want ankle over, or knee over ankle. So if you look down on your knees over the ankle, step back that back leg a bit further. And that said, we're gonna step together back to our forward fold. If you had bricks, they would be right here. Big breath. Inhale halfway. Soften again. Zipping it up. So I'm pulling my legs together, my belly into my spine, my shoulder blades back together to rise up. And that's our basic sun salutation. So now we're going to do the right side together. Inhaling, arms up. Exhale, reaching forward. Coming back halfway to your flat back. Exhale, soften down, bending those knees. Right leg is going to reach back. Take as many steps as you need to find the place where your left knee is over the ankle, right leg's back. Find that lunge. Might be a little deeper now that we're getting at it the second time. Drawing your center up, pushing your feet into the floor helps you rise. Coming back to your plank. Modified plank for everybody today. Elbows bend back along your sides. Heart comes forward as you come down. Inhale, lifting up. And up to press back. Up into your downward dog. Now we're going to be building your strength and endurance in downward dog, but in the beginning, if you feel like it's really difficult for you when you need to take a break, it's always okay to come out of a downward dog into your child's pose. So let's all come to the child's pose. And in our child's pose, the feet are pointed behind, but not crossed, yeah? So we don't want to be crossing our ankles. We want nice lined up shins. And we're trying to drop the hips down into those heels as much as possible. And creep the fingertips forward so that the armpits may open. From there, we're coming back up to the downward dog. Remember, a downward dog is not a plank. You don't want to feel like a ton of your weight is in your hands. If anything, I'd say 52% of your weight is in your feet. So you want to find that spot where your hands could flick off. You're almost balanced on your feet. Bringing your legs back together if they've strayed. Right leg's going to lift up. And step through. As many steps as you need to get to your high lunge with the right leg forward. Reaching forward. Checking that knee is nice and steady over the ankle. Knee and toe are both pointing straight in the same direction, right? Straight forward. When we step together, as many steps as you need. Inhaling halfway up. Exhaling, soften. And inhaling up. Take a moment back in your mountain pose to relax and come home to the breath. Now that we've understood the path of the sun salutation, we're going to do it again with connection of breath and flow. So we're going to do the same movements left side, but we're going to flow from one to each other a little bit more steadily now that we're more familiar. Big breath in. Inhaling up, exhaling as you arch. Inhaling up, exhale forward. Inhaling up, flat back, exhaling down. Left leg's gonna step back to high lunge. Pull your thighs towards each other and push into the floor to swing those arms up to high lunge. There's your high lunge. Right knee is over the ankle, shoulders dropped, left knee's reaching back. Big breath in. We're gonna circle those arms. Open those wings, come down to the stream and scoop up a cool handful of water and sprinkle it over your head. Exhale. 2 more times. If this is too big for you right now, keep it a bit smaller. Foot's a little bit closer in, arms are a little bit smaller in the circle. Let that heel reach back in the back leg. And everybody's gonna exhale those hands all the way to the floor now to step back to our plank. Modified plank, everybody, today. Go ahead and curve, arch your booty back, and then tuck it underneath like a cat, meow, to come with the weight higher than your kneecaps, so you're not feeling the weight in your kneecaps. And we're pulled up and in the abdomen here. Elbows bend to the back of the room along your rib cage. Pass through chaturanga to the floor. Drop those feet, legs together. Inhale. Press the floor to cobra. Find that long neck so your shoulders are actively pulling down, belly's lifting up, exhaling down. And back up to downward dog or child's pose, your choice. All right, I'm going to give us some bus stops here. Bus stop A. Oh, I'm here in child's pose, breathing deeply. Yes, totally valid, awesome place to be. Bus stop B, we're in downward dog, trying to drop our hearts towards our feet. Knees can be slightly bent for me. I'd rather you have bent legs and open hearts. Bus stop C. We're gonna let your left leg come up. Still squared hips. And then we're gonna do an option for pendulum next, yes? If you're on the floor in your child's pose and we're doing pendulum, you might choose to come up to all fours and to reach that leg back and tuck it underneath here on all fours. If you're like, you know, I don't really need to be all the way down on the floor, but my wrists are getting tired because we haven't built that forearm strength yet, you can also do this on your elbows. Yeah? Okay, so that's bus stop A with floor modification for pendulums. If you're up here in downward dog, your pendulums, this is called 3-legged dog. They come up here. You can choose to open the hips, but I think it's more challenging and strength building to keep the hips level with the floor. And we tuck forward, knee to nose. Inhale as the leg comes up. Exhale as the legs pass. Inhale as the knee comes to nose. And I'm shifting forward as I do that as well. Keep pressing your fingertips into the mat and listening to your body. The bus stop is your bus stop today. We're practicing respect for how your body feels today. Last time to lift that up, we're all gonna put our feet back together and come to downward dog. And then we're gonna step that left foot forward to the high lunge on the opposite side. Pressing into the earth. Arms straight out to the sides. Engaging your stomach. We're going to turn towards the forward leg. You can go ahead and take the hand across to steady yourself. Notice how much your butt wants to go back with that back leg. Give yourself a little slack. I'd rather you work on strengthening this core to keep your lower back engaged, supported, than try and get a flat back and sacrifice the health of your back, yeah? Flat back leg is not as important as a strong core. It will come later. Finding your breath here. Bringing both arms back to the front, squaring the body, squaring the hips, and lean forward as many steps as you need to come to your forward fold. Good job. Big breath to flat back. Exhale. Inhale, roll up. Exhale, center. Here we go, right side. Exhale, forward, flat back. Inhale. Exhale, down. Right leg's gonna step back to your high lunge. Find your high lunge. Centering the knee over ankle, knee and toe straight forward, hips are square, all 5 toes on the floor behind you. Exhaling those hips down. Squeezing my center to come up. Cool drink of water. This next one's going to take you to the floor. Stepping back to your modified plank. Bring yourself back to make sure that plank really comes from your tailbone, curling underneath you, belly's coming up, shifting your weight above your knees, elbows back along your rib cage, heart forward as you lower to the floor. Inhale up to your cobra. Stomach's engaged, shoulders back. Lifting your belly to your spine. Shoulder blades pulled down the back. Pressing your fingertips. And exhale down. Downward dog. Or child's pose. 3 breaths to rest. Now you can choose to be on your knees or to stay on your hands, but the right leg's gonna pendulum 4 cycles here. Exhale as the thighs pass, tuck under, inhale, curve to the front. Exhale as the thighs pass, inhale, lifting that leg back. Let it step through. Good. Center your knee over your ankle. Reach that back heel back in space. Squeeze those thighs towards your center line to come on up. Drop the shoulders down and spiral to your right. Making sure this knee stays pointed straight in the same direction as the toe. Your belly's lifted. Good, bring it on home. Forward fold. Inhaling halfway up. Exhale down. Drop the hips and slowly restack the spine. Taking your hands to the heart in the position of the hands that we call namaste, and feel your heartbeat with your thumbs. Feel your weight through the feet in the floor. Do you happen to be standing with more weight in one leg than the other? Just notice. Doesn't have to be a judgment. Notice whether your weight is mostly in your heels or mostly in the balls of the feet. Are you leaning back? Are your legs locked back at the knee? I invite you to tuck your tailbone slightly underneath yourself. I'm going to exaggerate that motion. Tuck your tailbone slightly underneath yourself. This is a big version, right? Lifting your pelvis slightly forward than you're maybe used to, so that your weight is right in the middle of those feet. Go ahead and shift your weight just slightly from there, taking your center line just over the right leg, and lift your left toe off. And sometimes when we do this, we tend to like slouch into the right leg, and I'd like you to still keep the weight slightly forward so you're over the arch, and then really reach your leg, support through that leg, like you're trying to grow roots down into the earth. All right, we're gonna turn the left leg out to the side. We are now in bus stop A of the tree pose. Feet still on the ground, definitely have weight in the ball of the feet. This leg is reaching down so it's lifted. My body is growing up out of that expression. Bus stop A, weights on the toe. Bus stop B, toe is on the ankle. Yes, make sure we're not twisting our hips back or closing the legs in. This is about opening that one thigh. So A, B, C, the weight goes into the heel and it's on the wide and meaty part of your calf. In the tree, this is on your final, we never put sideways pressure onto a knee. Never ever sideways pressure on a knee. So that means the jump from C to D is quite high, yeah? Because no sideways pressure here. So if you are feeling like, hey, I think I might be able to do that, get it up above the knee joint onto the thigh. If you're like, I'd like to try it, but I'm not feeling very confident and there's a wall or a table nearby, you can use the wall or the table to help you. If you're like me and in a very short basement, you can touch the ceiling also. Here's your tree. And then there's bus stop E, which we're going to get to later. Let's try the other side, shall we? Starting in your mountain pose. Notice whether we're doing a regular person stance. We're going to gently lift in our belly lock. We're going to take that tailbone so we have a vertical pelvis. Shift it slightly forward so the whole weight of the body is going da-na-na-na, yeah? We're going to take that long body over the left leg, turn the right knee out to the side, bus stop A, B, C, D. Ooh, we haven't done D yet. Have we? Yes, D. Okay, let's try the first side again. Take that practice. I like to sometimes just imagine I'm grabbing my whole spine and shifting it forward over the arch or the ball of the right foot and turning this out. So first part is learning to elongate over your center of gravity. We'll keep working on this. If you got this, and you're curious about the next spot, the trick to getting to the next spot is to grab your ankle and you shove it up on the inner thigh, which can be very delicate skin tissue actually. It can be a little bit pulley. But most of us are inclined to like just let go really fast. While you're learning to get to this next stage, if you are, my advice is to let go very slowly. And that helps you find that grace and centeredness. All right, whatever tree you are at is the right tree for you, right? It's not a competition, not even with ourselves. All right, let's unhook. And side number 2, shifting my whole center line over the left leg now. I'm finding your tree, A, B, C, D, E. The other thing to notice is whether you are hiking up the bent legs, hips, we want the tree to have even with the ground hips again. Good, good, good. Keep opening that knee. It tends to point towards the center. And let yourself play a little bit with the arms. Moving slowly so you can really feel the balance working. Balance is about sort of a give and take rocking motion. It's not a fierce, stiff grip. Fierce, stiff grip falls over really easily. We want to be more like a tree or a plant, softly bending in the wind. Finding your breath. Unhook that leg. Good, guys. Go ahead and stand a little wide. Soften those knees for a second. And just move your back through those cat-cow feelings, right? Halloween cat. Moo, cow with udders. Cat, cow, cat, cow. You can even take your hands down to your thighs here. And cat-cow right here. Lifting your belly in, and that cat, really trying to open up the lower back. Upper back usually goes pretty easy for most of us, but getting that curve in the lower back is really our goal. And then the opposite is true for the cow pose in this standing position as well as on the floor. The lower back tends to drop down very easily, but the upper back needs more practice arching. Good, all right. We're going to bring ourselves back up to standing. We're going to extend both arms out to the side, and we're going to shift our center of gravity over the right leg. And we're going to lift the left leg off the floor in our star pose. Yeah, so bus stop A, star pose. Toes still on the ground, feet are aligned, arms are out to the sides. And as we move into the star pose, there's a temptation to just lift the leg, but actually the star pose, we're going to change this hips rotation, yes? So as I move to the next bus stop, my leg's gonna come off the ground because I'm gonna tip. Yes, I'm gonna tip this pelvis. It's no longer flat. The pelvis has come up. There might be a temptation to pull your leg back in space, but that's not what this pose is about. Let it be, if anything, 4 inches in front of your body. That's really the secret. All right, big breath in, everybody. Little soften, a little bending of the knees, a little bending of the arms. And we're going to inhale and radiate. Reach everything out, your toes, your feet, pressing into the earth, reaching to the sky, top of the skull goes away from the left tippy toes. And come back home. Find your center. Good job. Again, tipping the pelvis. Bus stop A is totally good if bus stop A is your spot today. Find your balancing challenge, your edge. Reach into that floor, reach through your fingers, reach through the top of your skull and reach that skull away from the leg. And come on home. Good job. Big breath in. We're gonna come on down to the floor, you guys. Hooray! So we've now done a sun salutation with a lot of detail, but that'll give us a lot to do variation on over the next few weeks. This is the benefit of doing a class in a form of series rather than doing just a drop-in class, as I get to break down certain things in detail so that you can really elaborate on them as we go on. And then we did some standing poses. Today we did the tree and the star. And then now we'll move into our section with some floor poses, which is gonna be even more flexibility, dropping our energy level back down. And we'll end with some slow breathing meditation in Shavasana. Okay, let's start with our legs straight forward of our hips. So I'm squared to the hips, right My legs are straight forward, my knees are up, my toes are up, and I'm gonna go ahead and take your right leg, turn it out, and basically make like a tree pose with the legs, yes? Now when we do this, your hips probably wanna open back up, but I'd like you to use your body to pull this hip back so you stay square. So there's a right angle between the hips and the thighs here. And bend this long leg, even though that's the one we're gonna stretch. We're gonna breathe up and tip your hip bones into your thigh to get into the stretch. Go ahead and grab the foot if you can. This could be a place to use a strap if you want to use a strap, but also if you don't have a strap, just bend that knee some more, yes? If you're really tight here and you're feeling the stretch in the back of the thigh, then you're doing it correctly. So once you've got that ball of the foot, I'm gonna let my heel slide away until I start to feel the stretch in the back of the thigh. If I'm feeling it right behind the knee here, then I know that I should hang out, I should not go past that, maybe bend a little bit more, because we want the meat of the muscle to be gaining flexibility, not our tendons and ligaments. So again, hopefully while I'm giving more detailed instructions, you're still staying in your pose and breathing and letting those words kind of float into you. That's the hope. Let's let our heads and shoulders and necks and worries all just drop down for a big breath. Lovely. I'm gonna roll on up. And this knee that's been out to the side, I'm gonna bring it up now. I'm gonna hold on to the shin and inhale and lift my whole body up as tall as I can so I'm not curved down in the back. Yeah, nice long spine. And then I'm gonna exhale as I rotate into that leg, wrapping my arm around the leg. Coming back front. Let's go ahead and switch. Opening the other leg, hips are square to the front. That takes some effort. Bending the leg, we're gonna stretch, lifting up and over, finding the ball of the foot and bringing it steady back to ourselves, folding forward over that leg, releasing the head and shoulders. And coming home to your breath. Rolling your body back up, lining the other knee up, finding tall body, shoulders down, belly's lifted. Wrap the opposite arm around that knee to spiral the spine away. Coming back home. I'm going to go ahead and come down on your back. We're going to take your right knee into your chest. Pardon me while I move my mic pack. And holding that knee into your chest, slide the left leg away. And slow that breath down. And if you like, you can circle the right foot. And circle the other way. And gently send that leg up. I'm going to hold on to the thigh rather than the calf. And soften that knee into my chest. Now the thing about these stretches that is modifiable is if your back is feeling uncomfortable, definitely bend this leg. Yeah, this leg can totally be bent anywhere from here to there. The more straight it is, the more intense the stretch is. So adjust with that opposite leg. The other thing about extending a leg to stretch the hamstring above your body here is that Almost no one is going to be actually a straight leg. It's really not the point, but sometimes we think that means we're going to get further. The challenge is to get your thigh close to your chest, so you're stretching the body of that muscle in the back there. You may have just noticed that I had a tickle me Elmo moment, is what I call it, right? So I can show you a little bit. Can you see how my leg is doing a little quiver? That's the body's way of saying that this is the max for the stretch for the day. It's triggering your body's reflex to shorten to protect itself. So if you feel the tickle me Elmo movement, it's okay to stay there gently in the stretch or even back off just a little bit, because that's your limit for that day. Go ahead and bend that knee and place that foot on the floor and come to the other leg in. First, just pressing the thigh all the way into the body and circling the left foot. Letting your long right leg drift down, taking some inventory where your body might be holding tension. Try to breathe into those spots and relax. And now you can bend the right knee as needed, hold on to the left thigh, and begin to take the left thigh closer to the torso, lengthening the leg until you find your spot today for the stretch. And soften that knee into the chest. You're going to bring both knees into the chest next. And just hug, crossing your hands together. Whenever we come here, I know there's a big temptation to cross your ankles to keep your legs there, but I invite you to break that habit and instead use your inner thighs to hold yourself parallel. Crossing the ankles tends to skew the hips and the hip joints, so it's much healthier for your body alignment to practice keeping your legs aligned using your center of your body rather than hanging on with the ankles. And that said, just let yourself rock side to side, and you can be a little floppy and just enjoy how nice it is to rock side to side. And we're going to take our knees apart next, and I'm going to take my arms up through the center between my knees and then open wide. Drop your head to either side. We're going to put our soles of our feet together like a butterfly stretch and press the knees wide. Ankles up. And slide those legs down. Reach your body up and long. From this position, we're going to take our arms to either side like a big letter T, yeah? We're going to draw up the left leg. We're going to take the left knee all the way across the body and let the hips roll us all the way onto our side. The weight of the arm, the left arm, is going to hover us backwards. And if you feel ready for more of a stretch, you can take this right arm, which is the side you're on, and you can scooch that shoulder closer in the direction of the knee, so you're realigning your hips and your spine and really spiraling all the way up and through the body. Bring that knee up to the chest to roll back to your back, and your right knee joins your left. feeling yourself be squared again before sending your left leg down and your right leg across the body, letting the hips roll to the left, scooching your shoulders over if you like, and looking with your whole face away from where that knee is going, yeah? So that the stretch doesn't just stop at your shoulders, but also your neck spirals. And take a little notice today in this spinal twist, whether you feel most of the stretching happening in your lower back and spine, in your middle back and spine, or even if it feels like most of the changes are happening in the hip. All of those are valid places to feel this stretch, but they feel a little different every time we do them. And let your body come back center. I'm going to do this stretch one more time. Both legs come in before we move on, so we're giving our backs time to realign with that nice long spine. Sending the right leg down again, and the left leg's going to come across the body. And notice this time I'm holding my left knee in my right hand, yeah? And my elbow is on the floor so that my right wrist is above my right elbow, yeah? Straight up in the air, like I'm going to hold a platter of something delicious. So you can stay right here if you like and enjoy that spinal twist less intensely. You can put the knee back down as we did before, or if you'd like to move on to a more intense stretch, you can hold your leg and extend it using your right arm as a brace. So once you get here, I'm gonna drop my hip away from my head, dropping that hip down towards the opposite foot. But that's a pretty big stretch, so move into it gently and slowly and back off if it doesn't feel right for today. 3 breaths. And bend. Come back to center. Both knees in. Rest before the transition. Long back of the neck. Left leg extends long. Right leg comes across the body. Turning your head away from the right leg. And gently bring yourself back to center. Holding both knees into your chest, rocking side to side. We're going to draw the knees wider. Yeah, so we're letting the thighs hang so that the knees are coming towards the armpits here. Yeah, and then we're going to reach our arms in the middle of the legs to find your ankles. And your arms have to kind of reach here, so the weight, the strength of your arms, the weight of your arms is going to hook onto those heels, and the weight of the arms pulls your legs down. So the knee should feel like it's dropping down into the earth outside of your body. I'm going to rotate my body so you can see a little better. All right, so this is called the happy baby pose. Looking like you can imagine yourself as a little baby discovering that they have touchable feet for the first time. They're like, woo, I'm so happy to see my feet. And it really can allow your inner thighs, the back of your hips, everything to relax and open up. So just letting the weight of your hands open up those inner thighs. Really be a good hip and opener. If you'd like to do a little more middle stretch because you're pretty flexible here, then I encourage you to, if you are going to do the middle stretch, to grab your ankles instead and use your elbows to push those knees away so that your knees do not face your face. They're pointed away to the side of your body. And from there, you can explore opening into middle splits if you want, but that is a totally optional choice. Yeah. I'm going to take 3 more breaths, either in your happy baby pose or in middles. Try to relax your shoulders. And gently bring your thighs back up and together. And bend those knees to your chest and hug them straight down, knees towards your chest. And next, allow your toes and feet to touch the ground. And we're going to move our feet slightly wider than our hips and allow your knees to fall in together. So this pose with your knees together and your feet apart is the alternate pose for Shavasana. Shavasana means corpse pose. I know, cheery, right? But the idea being that we give ourselves permission to just completely relax into doing nothingness, which is what we're gonna do next. So if your room is a little chilly and you wanna grab a blankie, that's fine. If you notice that your back is feeling tired and you'd like to have a little support for your knees, you can either stay in that modified Shavasana pose I just showed you, or if you wanna tuck pillows, bricks, or a blanket under your knees to release back discomfort. We don't wanna feel like when your legs are all the way straight that your back starts to hurt. So if that happens, the knees together is the way to go. All right, friends. We're going to head into our final meditation here. Feeling your breath slow on down. As you rest here on the floor, give yourself permission to be held by the ground beneath you. Allow your shoulder blades to fold under your back like wings of a bird at rest. Allow your neck to lengthen away from your heart and then softly float down to the sand. Allow your upper arms to roll outward and your forearms and your palms and fingers to open up to the sky like petals blooming on a flower. As you take a deep breath into that rib cage, feel it swell up like a bud about to blossom, filling your chest and upper body with cool breath. And then as you exhale, imagine that body like a bud opening, layers of petals spreading wide. And take that idea down into your belly, breathing that cool air through your head, down your neck, through the spreading rib cage, bringing that breath through your diaphragm into your belly, expanding downwards, and exhale, spreading open, imagining your hip bones unfurling like petals. Breath in swells the bud of the flower, and the exhale opens yet another layer of infinite petals open to the sunlight. On your next inhale, feel like your whole torso is the center of that flower, and the thighs can soften downwards, opening into each other. Or if you feel ready now to scoot your feet out and let your legs extend long, you can send those legs long, letting them softly open down the mat. Letting your breath now fill your head, your shoulders, your palms, your pelvis, your thighs. And as you exhale, gravity supports each of those places so that you can fully let go. Breathing into your head, neck, shoulders, ribs, bellies, pelvis, thighs, calves, and all the way into the soles of your feet. Feel your palms and toes and fingers expand as you hold your breath fully. And let it go. We'll take 3 more deep, full body breaths here. This time holding each one, breathing in together. Through your shoulders, ribs, your palms and elbows fill up with that air. Your legs feel longer as you breathe all the way down into your toes and hold with that sense of fullness. And slowly release the breath. Feel your body body get heavy. Inhaling through your scalp and your ears, the skin on your shoulders, the outsides of your fingertips, between your fingertips, down through the backs of your legs, the tops of your feet, the spaces between the toes, everything filled with soft, cool air. Your body floating upwards. And settling back down. One more last big breath cycle. Filling yourself up. A big, fluffy, floaty cloud of lightness. Your molecules expanding outward. And at the end of this held breath, we're going to release all the tension and just really allow ourselves to drop softly into the earth. Allow your breath to return to its natural, soft state. And give yourself permission to rest here in quiet. Gently let yourself come back to your body. Perhaps wiggling your fingers and toes. Opening your eyes when you're ready. Using a bent leg to push your hips onto your side. Slowly rise on up. It's an honor to get to practice with you. Thank you for being here with me, and I hope you had a lovely time. Hello, we did it! Yay! All right, friends, happy Tuesday! Oh, good, I'm glad you're feeling better, Katie.